2 heats down, 1 final heat to go for the women's individual event number 3. As heat number 3 is off and underway, they'll all be chasing 2 specific times based on the structure of this event. We have event number 2 is the total time for a 1K bike, 1,200 meter run, 1K bike, 800 meter run, 1K bike, 400 meter run. The third event being the slowest time split for their 1K bikes. And we've seen a couple different strategies. You've gone through that a little bit, as we have Michaela Norman's overall time of 15:09 as your leader in the clubhouse in heat number 1, no less.
Right.
And then we have Julie Hogarth's time on the bike at 1:41.2. So those are your 2 times we're kind of looking at as this event goes on.
And I think that even though there's a 3-second split between what Michaela Norman had on her bike time and then what Julie had on her bike time, we very easily could see a much lower time on the bike. You know, like I said, if you know that this overall event is not going to be a good play for you, then you can drop yourself down and go for the win. Actually, if you had someone like someone like Samantha Briggs could do something like this, because you know her foot's not doing real well. She's got that fractured foot. What's she going to do in the run? Although I think that she's a workhorse, so she's just going to hammer through the pain anyway.
Yeah.
But she very easily could say, okay, I'm just going to I'll get a decent time on the run, but I'm going to win the bike part.
And you got to think of a slow Samantha Briggs is still a
Oh
fast athlete.
Oh my gosh.
In general. And what we're talking about is the injury that Sam sustained during the Open, spraining her foot during one of the lifts. And you know, she was talking earlier as Karin Frey gets off the bike right around that 141 mark.
Wow.
Is that, you know, for Sam, is the run is going to bother a little bit. She says she can navigate the run a little bit, but that doesn't mean she feels good. But when you talk about a bike, and especially a Concept 2, since it is so smooth, there's not a lot of standing and pressure on the foot, I'd be curious to see what strategy she does take, because if she can get herself even a top 10 finish overall,
which I think
sell out on the bike a little bit, that might be the best approach for Sam currently, just based off her
wait,
injury.
hold on real fast. You mean our current leader, Samantha Briggs, who just overtook Corinne Frey on the run? That's what we were talking about. Yeah, of all the women athletes that I have seen in the CrossFit Games, the one that is able to deal with so much pain is Samantha Briggs. Like, I just see her literally, I mean, the way she can absorb that pain is absolutely unreal. And so I'm really interested to see as she comes by. I want to see what her gait looks like on her foot, because maybe you can do that on the first 400 meters. But again, we have 2,400 meters of running that we have to do.
Think about 3,000 meters of biking, a mile and a half worth of running. And that's a lot of impact on the foot, but Sam looks absolutely incredible, showing no signs of any limping or a gait change in terms of, you know, her normal run style. It's just, it gets the job done, and it does the job very well.
And that's been, I mean, and she's become, I mean, so much of a better athlete, more efficient athlete. I mean, even when she was the CrossFit Games champion, the thing that was incredible about Sam was that she could do so much by making everything look so not pretty. I mean, all her lifts, all her movements, the way she would run, but she just grunted through it and made things happen. Like, the workhorse mentality was incredible, and that's exactly what she has going on now. And I think this is a perfect event for her, because her normal technique is, I'm going to go out fast, try to catch me. So she really pushes the limit on a lot of athletes just to see what they can do, and then kind of go, you know, kind of see who she can break on the way.
Briggs still leading the pack, pulling away slightly as she's finishing the 800-meter portion of this 1,200-meter bike as we're approaching the 4:30 mark. The time split by Michaela Norman, who holds the fastest time for event number 2, is 15:09 with a time split of 6 minutes once she finishes this last 400-meter. On the flip side of that, when we're talking about event number 3 being the slowest bike time for their 3,000-meter bikes, that's actually going to go to Karin Frey, who was faster than Julie Helger's time of 141.2.
And what's interesting with that is we talk about the strategy involved in the event with Corinne Frey coming off the bike so fast. The strategy with the bike would be, okay, I need to have a decent time on the bike, especially to start, but I don't want to go out too hard. Now, being that she was first off the bike, she now is sitting in 4th place position, almost in 5th place. She may have come off the bike way too fast. So if that's the case, then now what she's in jeopardy of is really having a bad time or a much slower time on the 2nd and 3rd bike.
Samantha Briggs, your current leader in this 3rd and final heat of women's event number 2 and event number 3. And to put things in a little bit of a perspective of how fast Michaela Norman started in heat number 1 by herself, you know, she didn't have these athletes to push her for that run, was at 6-minute mark as we're approaching right now. So that is when Michaela Norman got to her bike for the 2nd round.
That's insane. Because, I mean, generally, if you look at the field, Samantha Briggs is basically running by herself. You know, there's no one even pushing Sam.
Sam Briggs has extended her lead over the field, and we just saw her face. She's running by. She's just smacking her gum and just casually getting back to the bike.
This is where she excels. I mean, they don't call her the engine for nothing.
So Briggs will get to the bike right around 6:25 as she'll wind up that Concept 2 BikeErg. Your fastest time coming in on the bike was actually Corinne Frey. She is just getting to her bike right about the 6:45 mark, and that's where we saw Emily Rolfe get to the bike in heat number 2. So your top 2 times, 15:09 for Michaela Norman and 15:39 or 36 unofficially for Emily Rolfe. And we said earlier about really, truly understanding your pace and your ability to keep that pace on the bike being your most beneficial tool for success when you have something like the slowest time matters.
It's so fun to watch Samantha Briggs in an event like this because she makes it look so easy. You know, you watch some of the other ladies when they're pushing and they're obviously working really, really hard, but it looks like they're working really hard. This is one of those events where you see it happening, but you don't really understand. I mean, same thing with Michaela Norman. Now, that great race that Michaela Norman and Samantha Briggs had last year in the desert run was so impressive because everyone knows what Sam can do. Michaela has that, but, you know, again, not being as well-known of an athlete as Samantha Briggs, seeing Michaela actually pass her by and then beat her was fun to watch. But, again, like I see Samantha Briggs flying on this event, and yet Michaela Norman was still out ahead of her.
I mean, you think about what these athletes have looked like coming off the 2nd bike as Sam is off the run, is that we've seen a lot more laboring when he talks about that leg pump coming off the 1,000-meter bike. And you can see that Sigmund's daughter has moved into 2nd overall.
That's a big move for Sarah Sigmund's daughter. Now, I thought for sure the bike portion, she would do great. I mean, she's a very powerful athlete. But, you know, when you throw 2,400 meters of running in there, you wouldn't sit there and go, oh, yeah, obviously. Sarah Sigmund's daughter is going to be a perfect position, you know, for that. But, man, just very, very strong. And she just came off a big event last weekend. So, I mean, or 2 weekends ago. So, like, she's been traveling and yet still is able just to hammer it. It's just impressive.
Now, I misspoke earlier about the time checks. Michaela Norman's time was 6:30 after the first pairing of the run and bike. So Briggs was actually 7 seconds faster than her coming into the bike. So Briggs is ahead of the pace set by Michaela Norman from heat number 1. The unofficial time to beat is 15:09. And as we're looking at some of the bike times coming in, is that Julie Helgard is still holding on to that slowest time of that 141.2 split. We just got word that everyone in the 2nd round were slower than her time. So Julie Helger's time of 141.2 on that bike split still holding with one more to go.
That's crazy.
And when you think about that, that's actually going to give her the win.
Yeah.
Because even if you go faster.
Doesn't matter. It's all the slower ones. So she has that win.
And so we'll say that unofficially is that Julie Hogarth's time of 141.2, based off what the athletes did in this second bike, should hold up for an Event 3 win. Now, Sam Briggs doesn't know that, and neither do the other athletes, what's going on, but there's still that overall time that they're trying to best, which is 15:09. And Sam Briggs is coming in to her final 200 meters as she is starting to lap the competition just at the midway point of this event.
Well, I don't know. The fact that, look how fast she's going. My goodness. And you know what? I'll tell you what. Maybe it's a foot thing, but her form actually looks better now than when it really does.
Sam Briggs making the final turn of her 800-meter run. She's already finished 2 1K bikes, a 1,200-meter run and an 800-meter run. And she'll move into her third and final 1K bike. And the goal here is to not go any slower than one of her first 2, but to still make sure she's pushing the pace to get that overall time to beat. And Sam Briggs just ran a 3:05 800-meter run.
Wow.
I'm going to put my headset down and walk home because I'm going to need to work on my fitness. Sam Briggs just ran a 3:05 800-meter run.
Oh, my gosh. See, I just scratched her off the list on any sort of comparison because I don't even want to be on the same page with that. No way.
Briggs has 20 seconds ahead. 20 seconds ahead of the pace by Michaela Norman. I tell you what, after that 800-meter run, I don't see anyone hanging on to that when you got just a 400 left. So Briggs is to the bike for the first time, her third and final 1,000-meter bike, as you have your second, third, and fourth place women coming into the BikeErg. See Karin Frey getting on, Sarah Sigmund's daughter. In between the two of them was Gabriella Magala. But it is all Sam Briggs. And we're talking about the time to beat. 15:09 unofficially by Michaela Norman, set all the way back in heat number 1. I've never seen someone look so comfortable in so much pain. Like, it's not that easy.
No.
And though she makes it look easy, she just has an uncanny ability to suffer.
That's where she's best. I mean, they talk about, being comfortable with the uncomfortable, and she has got that mastered and always has. But what I think is fun to see now is she knows exactly where she needs to be. She's watching that screen, and you can see that she's actually kind of oscillating between pushing hard, trying to recover, pushing hard, trying to recover with her legs, trying to keep that tempo so that she doesn't get less than what she's had so far.
Briggs is off the BikeErg and on to one final 400-meter run. The time to beat, 15:09, set by Michaela Norman on the bottom left part of your screen. The current time in the top left part of your screen, 13:30. I mean, even at her 800-meter pace, she's on pace to beat Michaela Norman's time.
Yeah. Yeah, the nice thing is that I saw her checking her watch at different times, so she knows where she is. But I tell you what, I think that last bike did, I don't want to say damage, but it was more difficult than she was really expecting, because you just saw her as she was running. She's starting to overheat a little bit. She actually pulled her shirt up trying to get a little bit of air on her midsection. That's not something you would do when it's on the last run. It's on your last lap, but she's doing everything she can to keep that tempo up.
Sam Briggs alone on the track as Sigmund's daughter and Frey just getting off their BikeErgs, with Magala ahead of them or just coming off behind. But Sam Briggs on her final turn, as she has got about 100 meters left to go. 14:30 is her current time. 15:09 is the time to beat. And Sam Briggs, coming off a strong event in the morning and nearly a broken foot in the open, Sam Briggs will take women's individual event number 2.
Wow. wow, man, impressive. Impressive. And every time they've had an event like this here at the Dubai CrossFit Championship, whether it's rowing, whether it's running, whether it's cycling, whether it's swimming, she is always pushing so hard. But I'll tell you what, like, that was more painful. When you see Sam Briggs hurting like that, now you know how bad it is.
She never shows it until it's over.
Oh, man, but, like, yeah, that was starting to show early. But, my goodness, that was a big, big race for her.
Coming into second, and a strong finish herself is actually Gabriela Magala, who got to the bike tied with Sigmundsdottir and Frey. They're not even in the picture, so Magala crushed that final run, and here comes Frey and Sigmundsdottir with a foot race at the end. Frey is in, Sigmundsdottir's in. I tell you what, for Sarah Sigmundsdottir, that is a great
That was awesome.
hole to fill for Sigmundsdottir.
Oh, man, that was huge. Huge. I mean, you wouldn't put Sarah Sigmundsdottir in an endurance type event like that to be placing that high. That was a great finish for her.
And also that's her building off of what she did in the Filthy 150, because they had a similar kind of a biathlon where they had a trek bike and a run. And she did very well in that event as well. So are we seeing maybe her fill some very big holes that I think have had major consequences for her at the games level?
Absolutely, and the fact that we're here with a even broader spectrum of athlete, a much more solid depth field of athletes, that's a big deal. So a way to go for Sarah, man. And, and she's had this whole season has been in a gigantic improvement over the last couple of years, which has been really fun to see.
It's been fun to see, but I want to see that translate to the games. Right?
No, 100%.
We see her get better every year within the season, but we've never really seen that carry over to the CrossFit Games for her.
But because there's always been some sort of an issue. But I think that building on confidence all the way through is going to be a big deal for her. And I think that, like, she just has to continue to ride that wave. Then we'll see her back at the games with that confidence.
Got 3 minutes until we reset 20-minute time cap. We have one athlete left on the competition floor, as all are done so far in this heat. But what more can you say for Sam Briggs, who won this event last year when it was the very first sanctioned event for the season? And the big thing for her is, like, it's not going to be pressure. It's not going to be real fitness level. It's for Sam, it's just going to come down to what the other girls really do, because Sam's going to do her job in terms of her maximizing her ability to do well in an event. It's going to come down to the other ladies.
The great position with Samantha Briggs is she doesn't feel like she shouldn't feel like there's any pressure on her. She's a master's athlete in this young person's game, and she isn't supposed to win, and yet she still keeps winning. And so when you're not supposed to win and you're not overly expected to win, there's no pressure on you. So now you just get to perform, and when she performs, she just does her thing. And I think that is something that really helps her out in every single one of these. She wasn't supposed to win in Dubai last year. She did. She wasn't supposed to do as well as she did in the Open. She wasn't supposed to do as well as she did in Australia or the other events here. But she just does what she does. It's impressive.
Sam Briggs takes event number 2.